Alright, so Lab 12A was setting up the form. Lab 12B is handling the form using PHP. And so again, I've put the instructions here, but I'm going to create this video so that if you have any problems, then you can obviously consult the video. And so back into Notepad, and you can see that I've started with the basic structure, but I've changed title to handle form. One thing to point out, which you should be familiar with from using CSS, external CSS and HTML, is that the name that you are, the action attribute, and the name that you put here has to be the same as what you save this form as. So we saved it as handle_form, capital H, everything else is lowercase. So I'm going to do the same here, save as handle_form, and you can save it wherever you want really, but it makes sense to save it in the same place that you saved the form itself. But you are going to be uploading both these files into the same folder on 000 web host, and you should have already uploaded the form itself. And so we're going to add in our opening delimiter, and we're going to have some, let's go down, we're going to have some comments at the beginning. So this script is handle form.php, and remember the purpose of these initial comments is really to provide a form of documentation. Where am I going? Let's go to the next line. And so let's give a short explanation about what this script does. This script receives data from contact.html, which is the page, the HTML page we set up previously. Yeah, I think that's fine. We'll leave it there for now. Okay, so first thing, we have to create shorthand versions of the variables. Okay, so previously when we were doing the form, if I just go back, you'll remember that we had names for each of them so we could identify them easily. And what we're going to do in this PHP script is we're going to create a variable for each of those inputs. So I'm going to create a variable called title. And in order to retrieve the data, if you remember, we used the post method for sending the data, and we're going to use the post method for retrieving the data. So you have to use the same. You can't, mix and match. And so you might not remember that post is an example of an array. And with arrays, when we want to retrieve a specific value, we use those square brackets. And so the name of the title input was simply title. And then we're going to have a semicolon. So we're going to go through and we're going to do this for each of the values. Obviously, if at some point you decided that you were going to use capital letters or you were going to call it something different, then you can either change it to what I set it as, or you can decide that you're going to keep it. But then obviously what you create here or what you call here is going to be different. Okay, so far we've called this name. So we're capturing the value which is stored in this particular input. And then next we want to get the name. So we're going to have first name as our next variable. Okay, and the syntax is exactly the same. So, you can, if you want, just copy and paste. But I'll do it a few more times. And we called that one first name, all lowercase. And then we had the same with last name. It doesn't really matter about spaces, it just makes for easier readability. So post and square brackets and last name. Okay, so we've got 3 more to go, so I am going to cheat a little bit, and I'm just going to copy these, and then I'm going to obviously change the names of the variables. So we had email, and the name that we used in the form was email. We had feedback, so that was the radio buttons that we set up, and so again that was feedback. And then finally we had that text area for if they had any comments. So we will create a variable called comments to hold it, and we will make sure that we are calling the correct value. Okay, so this way we have captured the data from the form that we set up, and we have saved that data into these new variables. And what we're going to do with this form is very straightforward. We're simply going to output the data received. And there's all sorts of things that you can do with forms, obviously a lot more interesting than just outputting what you sent. So we could have it so that it was sent on to an email address, for example, and all other sorts of things. But let's keep it simple for now. So let's go down to the next line, and obviously we're going to use the print output. We're going to have this as a paragraph, and we're going to say thank you, title, first name, last name, obviously make sure you've used double quotation marks, for your feedback. And let's close the paragraph there. Did I put a full stop? No, I didn't. I'm going to put a full stop after the word feedback. And I'm just going to go down to the next line and create a new paragraph. You stated that you found the website to be, and this is where we call the radio button, the feedback radio button, feedback, and your comments were, and I'm just going to put a couple of break statements in here, and then we're going to call the comments. And then close your paragraph. And that's really the end. So we're going to put in our closing delimiter and then go ahead and click on save. So you're now going to need to upload this file into the same folder as your contact page. And then obviously you can test it to make sure that you do get that you do get an output message and that it does retrieve the values from your variables.